more importantly, no one else can come along and explore. Nobody else can come along and take over the exploration because it will be excluded.
And, the question is just a sec. There's only one way this can happen, and that's to get us elected. That's what this is about. If a minor party gets in, or an independent, or it's a vote for Labor, and you will get your mine.
Well, that's something I wanted. I was in Brisbane a couple of weeks ago, in the Mount Cootha electorate, right? Barden, Milton, Rainworth. I get up on Sunday morning and in the letterbox is this pamphlet. Oh, from the Greens. And all it was about was their policy to stop the gas and the coal mining on farmland. I thought it was magnificent, but you're saying a vote for the Greens or independents will go to Labor. So why doesn't the National Liberal Party do the same sort of thing in the city? I thought it was great when I got this pamphlet out, and I thought, well, if the Liberal National Party want to get in, they're going to have to convince all the city people as well. And there are a lot of people in the city that know what's going on with the mining. But if they don't get things in their mail or get, advertising, you've got to tell people what you're planning to do. So I think that,
that was the purpose of our broad strategy we released on Friday, and what we're doing today.
A lot of people they don't hear this news, but if something's in their letterbox, they might get the message.
You can be assured it will be.
Good.
Jeff and Ray, recently Campbell Newman had lunch with Ambre Energy. What was the discussion? Did you say to them that may as well pack up because when you're in, they won't be allowed to mine there?
If he didn't, then he will tomorrow.
No, but I'd like to know what was the discussion with Ambre Energy?
I don't know. I didn't even know he had, but I'm sure he did because like everyone wants to. Not everyone, but a lot of people want to talk to him at the moment. A lot of people want to talk to me, but that absolutely doesn't change the strategy that we released on Friday. And Campbell released it on Friday, and he absolutely supports it. And he knows I was coming in today to talk to you, and he endorses the message that I've just given you.
Snow was first, sorry.
If I can just say, Jeff, as you know, I'm following you around today, listening to every word you're saying, because I'm interested from the Gary perspective, the SEQ perspective. And your policy is the right policy. The mapping and planning strategy is the right policy. Much better than putting bullseyes around town and expecting that to be efficient to anybody.
Yep.
But this is a particular case. Like the Felton Valley is a fairly well advanced project in terms of the mines department. And as you know from government, the Department of Mining does not talk well to the planning department. So really this is the question is that let's make the assumption that you guys gain power in March or whatever, and you set in place regional planning strategies, and you'll also be talking to the mines department trying to improve that communication between the two departments so they know what the left hand and the right hand are doing. You're not going to come back out and say you were too late?
No, not here. Obviously, because of, as you quite rightly say, this is an important, almost iconic issue.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't win this one, you've lost the whole.
No, so we have looked at what the situation is here, and what exists here are exploration permits, and now they don't convey any rights except to explore, and there is no problem at all. There is certainly, as you quite readily understand, there are certainly problems in any planning scheme with existing non-conforming rights. That is, people who have rights that don't conform to what you want to do in regard to the planning scheme. That doesn't exist here. It exists at Acland, for example, where there is a right to mine, and so we have to think about,
but not for the expansion.
Not for the expansion. Exactly right.
I'm basically
exactly
asking
right.
the hard question, so that the people in this community can say that is a solution.
No, look, I can.
I'm saying it to cast aspersions.
I can.
Is that you need a solution.
And I can emphatically say that because we've looked at it with such detail that the planning process, the regional planning process, will solve the issue here at Felton forever. It will be mapped as an area where resource extraction activity, where coal mining is not allowed, and not even further than that. what we propose is a replication of what currently exists within the planning legislation in relation to protected vegetation, where it is illegal for anyone to accept an application to clear protected vegetation in particular areas. So it will be illegal for the department to accept an application to conduct resource activities in these defined areas. This area will clearly be defined. Yeah, we want to make sure that the entire inner downs is protected from coal mining. Now, where that boundary will eventually be will be an issue that all of you can have input into. But I can emphatically say that it will include Felton.
So
absolutely.
When the subject's come up about Acland, can you tell us your thoughts on the proposed Acland expansion?
Yep, I was asked this morning at Gary. We do not support the expansion of the Acland coal mine, but it will depend entirely upon the contractual arrangements that exist and the legal obligations that exist at the time. As with any other legal obligation, they are very expensive to retrieve. There is a whole range of rights that have been legally entered into, a whole range of contracts that have been entered into there. But the bottom line is that every planning scheme that's ever been put in place has to deal with existing non-conforming uses, but every planning scheme restricts or forbids the expansion of those existing non-conforming uses, and that's what we would be doing.
So does that mean that the strategic problem land proposals that I think currently before the Parliament, should you gain power, that you'll be revisiting those?
Yeah.
Because those are, as I understand it, less than satisfactory.
Yep, exactly right. Thank you for raising it, because it's a very important point. We don't oppose the strategic cropping land legislation, and we won't, but we don't believe it's adequate by any means, because it's all about the soil. Last time I was here, I visited a farm back here where the slope was an issue. Strategic cropping land only extends a certain, up the slope until the 2% criteria is triggered, and then it's ridiculous. That means that you could mine down to that line, but not below. That's the sort of nonsense that narrow focus on soil criteria produces. We're talking about a planning process that takes into account the land use, the whole district. Is this district suitable for coal mining? Of course it's not. So let's map it accordingly, and let's put the question beyond doubt forever. Richard?
What do you envisage as the time frame for this legislation now? We're not quite sure when the election is going to be held, of course. It has to be, March or even up to June, I suppose. But how long after that, and how does that relate to how far Ambre Energy have gone on their application? They may push this thing through as fast as they can go. So we could have a bit of a race between their
between now and the election.
Terms of reference and the EIS and this legislation. What do you think? I think we've got to bear that in mind, that time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a good question. It's something that we've talked about a lot as well. Then there are two parts to it. It's what happens between now and the election, and what happens if we win between the election and when we can get this legislation in place. The second part's the easiest one to deal with. We believe that there are ample provisions within the current legislation that require a public interest test, for example, to be applied, that allow us to ensure there is no opportunistic applications. We can slow down the approvals. We can adopt the precautionary principle and as a precaution not consider an application that has a reasonable chance of being caught by the planning scheme. All of those types of things. But I think we can get draft maps in place very quickly. I think the three of us could sit down and do it today. We can map the inner downs fairly quickly.
There's no doubt these resource companies though will get quite upset by this.
They'll
start to say, well,
and that's the second part of your question, which was what happens between now and the election. Now, I would like to think that we're not going to see a ramp up of that activity, but if we do, then we will take every opportunity to reverse that, and we think that we can probably do that without incurring a great deal of compensation liability, because it will be seen as an opportunistic move, and so therefore